So basically, this webinar, what we are starting on, will help you to gain more industry knowledge, and as well as you can decide your path, what career you would like to take after you graduate. So we have scrutinized all the points and made sure you have enough information to make your career decisions. So we will try our best to help you in whatever way possible, and we'll give insights on what is AWS, how it works, and all those details in this throughout series. So I am Siddesh Shirodkar, and I'll be guiding you all deep dive into the AWS. Okay, so we have heard different things of AWS, like it allows us this, that, on in terms of cloud services. So we'll be exploring all the topics, and I'll be covering all the major concepts which, as a student or as a graduate, what will help you to decide your career further. Okay, so let's begin. So at the first, let's look at what are the existing things that it is available in the market, or if we call it, if AWS was not there, then what was the traditional approach that enterprises or the customers or the people who are hosting a website would come across. So first thing is the hardware. So normally, even if you want to have a website on an internet, you need to have a system which will host your files. That means if you want to access a website, there it should be hosted somewhere. That means that files need to be accessible over the internet. So if an enterprise need to host their website, they need to do their hardware setup. They need to hire people who will maintain their hardware, who will work with the upgradation, all the IT consultants and all those hardware related microchips all need to be taken care by the person who is hosting a website. So in the traditional hosting services, all this burden of hardware normally used to come on the people who were hosting the site. So next thing is large setup cost. What it means is, now if we need to store the data or we need to set up the hardware, so it normally requires a lot of resources, or you can say the overall maintenance cost of that hardware is very high. So it is quite difficult, and if you are just a startup and if you want to start a hosting service, then it's like a initial investment is very high. Next is the shared resources. So if you want to have multiple websites, then obviously you need to share your hardware. So there is an overall burden on all the resources, because there are multiple websites hosted on your hardware. So there will be multiple people who will be accessing the site. Then there is always a chances of hardware failures or the natural calamities that might affect the hardware overall performance, or your underlying hardware entirely may go down, or there can be different hazards that come into picture with respect to environment. Then if we consider the deployment time, now when you have your website hosted, it is necessary of the development part that you deploy all your files on that hosting platform or that machine. So all those softwares that you need to deploy all your files are normally you need to maintain in traditional hosting services, and you have very limited access to all those softwares, and all that maintenance, like updating that software and all those things, the enterprise itself need to take care. So this is another shortcomings of traditional hosting services. Let's move on to what is cloud hosting services. So we must have read many articles, or heard a buzzword that the cloud is trending. We need to store our data on the cloud. But do we really know what is cloud and what is the actual features or the benefits of using cloud? So let's understand that first. So cloud actually provides you with the compute services, the resources that are required to host your website as well as to store your data, or the overall burden of having that servers already set up for you with all the required OS or a underlying speed of that server. Everything is handled by the cloud. Also, they provide you with virtual and physical servers, so they keep different partitions, which makes it available and easy for you to use those servers, which will allow you to host multiple sites, irrespective of what is the load on your site and many of those things. Now let's move on to what are the different type of cloud services which will help you, which will be used in overall cloud network. Before I move on to this presentation, I just want to highlight that there is a section available called Q&A. So in case if you have any questions, you can put it in the Q&A sections, and same will be addressed by our panelists. Okay, we'll try our best to give you answers to your questions. So you can kindly ignore the chat option, because it may not be answered there. So you can use Q&A section to get your questions answered. So first type of cloud service is on premises. That is the traditional hardware thing. So all the underlying setups that involve networking, storage, servers, virtualization, operating system, the middleware, runtime, the data storage, and your final applications, all needs to be taken care by the people who wants to host their website as well as the server. So there are no existing things that you can directly use, whereas you need to set it everything from the scratch. The next thing is infrastructure as a service. So in this model, you have your network, the storage, the servers, and the virtualization already set up for you. That is, you already have your underlying hardware, all the infrastructure ready for you to use. So you only have to install the operating system that you need. It can be Windows or Linux as per your runtime environment or as per your application requirement. The next one is a platform as a service. So in this model, you have most of the things set up till the runtime. That is, you already have your Windows installed or Linux environment set up. You only need to work with the static data that is required for your application and your final piece of code that will be hosting your website or all website related data. So this is platform as a service. And the last one is when you have your entire product or the entire website ready, and if you want to sell this website or the product to any third-party clients, then the software as a service tool helps you to do with that. So basically, in software as a service, you have your application ready. You just need to share that application using your existing cloud platform, and based on the traffic, you can just charge the people who are using your software, and you can monitor the overall usage. You can just check if there are any shortcomings in your application, or if you want to add a new features. All those things can be done, and all those features can be deployed at once to all the third-party users who are using your application. Okay, so these are the different models of cloud services which you can use when you work with cloud. Finally, let's move on to the main topic, that is Amazon Web Services or AWS. So initially, AWS started its journey in 2004 when they initiated the SQS, that is queue service, wherein you just send messages and those messages are pulled. So it is basically nothing but like a SMS system what we use, like WhatsApp or chat or all those platforms what we use. So that was the initial service that they started with, but it was not officially launched. Like AWS was not launched officially. It was some internal testing that they were doing. In 2006, they launched the first hosting platform where you have the EC2 instance. I'll go more in detail about what is EC2 and how you can use EC2 in upcoming sessions as well as in the next slides. So for time being, you can consider EC2 as a operating system which allows you to host your files and your website basically. AWS is world's most comprehensive and broadly adopted cloud platform. That means you may have various cloud services see in the market, and they may have the basic necessities that are required to host a website. But AWS has some advanced features which are not available in other cloud platforms. They have more than 200 featured services actively working, so you can explore and use different services as per your application need. So it need not be restricted to hosting a website, but it can be more than having your personalized personalized services or virtual reality or artificial intelligence, machine learning. All those services are directly available in AWS. Let's see what are the different services that are available in AWS. So first thing, to access any of the AWS service, you need to have IAM permissions, that is identity and access management. So basically in this service, you allow users to access different other services which are available like storage, the compute, or serverless technologies or messaging system. So you can consider IAM as a basic service which grants permission to the different users, the way they will access the overall AWS as a service, as a cloud service, as well as you can restrict different users from accessing different services. So you can actually create groups, you can create different roles to act as a admin to allow you to access different services. Next is VPC, that is Virtual Private Cloud. It's basically a container that helps your website to be restricted, or I would say a security container that blocks the invalid request. Again, you can define your own security practices. You can restrict different availability zones. You can restrict your you can restrict the IPs which will be allowed to access the website and more things. Next is EC2, that is Elastic Compute Cloud. So basically, this is a platform wherein you host a website or you keep your files on a platform which will be available through the IP, and then you can point your domain to access all those files as a website. Next is Simple Storage Service, the S3. So S3 is simply a object storage platform where you can store heavy files which are more than 500 GB, 1 TB. The files that are static, if you need image files which takes more time to be loaded. So all those things can be stored in the S3, which you can directly use in EC2. Then we have Route 53. Route 53 is helpful when you want to point the DNS on the IP that you get from the EC2. Next is CI/CD. So this is a very important part where you want to have the continuous integration and deployment setup. That means if you don't want to manually upload your files, but set up a chain of command that will get executed when you commit your code or you push your code on the version control system, that is code commit. Code commit is something similar to GitHub, which we normally use for version control. Code pipeline combines all these different features like code commit, code build, and code deploy into one connected platform. Code build is used to run and build your files on the server. Code deploy is used to deploy your files on EC2 or any other container which is required where you want to deploy your files. CloudFormation helps you in building a package which will run and execute all the services that are required for your platform, such that in normally when you want to deploy your site or move your code from one AWS to another AWS user account, then you need to copy all those files one by one, then provision the resources to access those files. But to skip this entire process, CloudFormation helps us to define that entire chain of commands that will be executed once you click on the stack that is used in CloudFormation, such that all the required resources will be created for you. Next is the load balancer. The load balancer and auto scaling acts as a traffic management service, wherein if you see when you try to access Flipkart or Amazon or different shopping websites, so when there is a sale on that website, you will see many orders are not processed, or there is a lag of the overall processing time, or there is a delay in the request that you make. Like if you want to view any product, then it takes so much time for that product to get loaded. So all these things are addressed using load balancer and auto scaling. They allow you to manage the traffic by provisioning more EC2 instances, or you can say there is a replication process that happens which allows you to divert your traffic from one EC2 to another EC2 and manage the traffic. Next is artificial intelligence and machine learning. So the trending thing, like nowadays if you use the Amazon Echo or different gadgets like IoT gadgets which works on the commands that you give, like if you want to play a music or if you want to turn on the lights, all those things are addressed using this artificial intelligence and machine learning. So SageMaker is a tool that allows you to write the code which works with different IoT devices. All those commands what you put in SageMaker are then interconnected into the machine learning commands that are required to run those IoT devices. The personalized is another a good service offered by AWS, wherein you can have your products recommendations based on the machine learning. Like if you look at the different shopping platforms or shopping websites, so if you see and visit any of the product, and if you visit it after a month or after maybe 2 months, you will see some recommendations that will appear based on your history, that is the products what you have purchased. Like if you have purchased a phone, then different cases or the charger or the additional accessories that you need will be shown in the recommendations. So all these things are taken care by personalized, and this personalized service also offers you what currently Amazon is using, that algorithm. Okay, so this is a very good service that you can use. Then there is Amplify, Cognito, API Gateway, Lambda. These are the serverless services which will be taken and will be diving deeper into those technologies in upcoming sessions. So next is CloudWatch service. So in CloudWatch, we have a monitoring service if something goes wrong with our website that we have hosted. So we can track what are the different issues that are faced by that website, or if there is an issue with the underlying hardware. All those things we can check in CloudWatch. In CloudTrail, we can have the overall auditing, like how the number of requests are sent, what are the number of the overall traffic on our website. If the traffic is if it's a valid traffic, or if someone is trying to hack a platform or a website, all those can be traced into the CloudTrail. SQS and SNS are messaging services which are used to send emails or SMS on phone and different other decoupling methods. Now these are the different so there were many other services which I could not list in the previous slide, so I have put it here. So if you look at different services, so there is a deployment and management, then there is application services. Like if you look into much deeper, there is administration and security, then there is a mobile services, then there is a enterprise applications, or there are analytics, or there are networking or databases. So as a final year students, or as you are just about to complete your university, or if you are just graduating, then you can look at these different services as your career options, because let's say, to be frank, many of us are not that much interested into coding. Okay, so we have our own choice. We cannot work with network. We cannot look into mobile development, or we don't want to work with no designing a solution. So based on your choice, you can work with AWS service. So there is not hard and fast rule that you need to stick to one type of service and you don't wish to switch to other service. So AWS is a platform which is very wide, and you have various career options, and you can select as per your convenience which service is more suitable for you. Like if I want to work with coding, then I can select the enterprise application, or I can select the deployment and management, or I can work with compute service. So there are different options that are available with me if I take AWS as my career path. Then there are also a word, or there is a something like a buzzword that comes into normally in college discussions, like DevOps. So those DevOps or the deployment and all those services which you want to work with, like multiple development deployment platforms. So all those things services you can take as an individual career goal, which appears into deployment and management. So there are different plus if you want to work with IoT devices, or if you want to work with machine learning or data science, then all those things are available in analytics. You can work with real-time data. You can work with different machine level coding, or if you want to convert user data, all those things can be taken as a part if you work with AWS. So I hope this gives you an overall idea how you can work with AWS. Also, since AWS is evolving, okay, so there will be more services that will be deployed and available in the AWS. So like if you pass out maybe next year, so you might see that there are more services added. So there is always a evolvement, the evolution that happens in AWS. So the way you work with machine learning, maybe you find it difficult right now, but it can be much easier when you see that, okay, tomorrow when you graduate, you look at the AWS service, because there is always an enhancement and there is an improvement which helps you to easily work with things which may be difficult previously. Okay, so this is the overall my experience, I would say, which will help you with defining or understanding what career options you can take while working with AWS. Now, what are the key features that are available, or what are the advantages when you work with AWS apart from what I have mentioned previously? So they have infrastructure server technologies like compute, storage, databases, plus they always update their software, so you can expect the technology stack like Node.js, Python, React, all those things are easily available with them, with the latest technology, with the latest versions that are available in the market. Plus, as I mentioned earlier, you have machine learning, artificial intelligence, then there is analytics, then IoT, Internet of Things. So more things available as a part of their services. Then it is flexible and secure cloud computing. By flexible, I mean they have various regions, or you can say the data banks, which backs up your platform or your application, such that if something goes wrong in one of the region, then there is another region or another data center available for you to get your platform or application up and running. They have their own security setup, so overall hacking and all those things are minimal, or very less chances that your application is compromised. They support 90 plus security standards and compliance certifications. So compliance certifications are some laws, the regional laws or the government laws that are required to meet to provide this service. So they have those compliance certifications. Plus they have this encryption. So in case if you want to encrypt your data and if you don't want to give that permission to AWS, you can have your own key to encrypt your data. They have serverless computing. So we'll be checking more what is serverless computing in the next session. So please try to attend the next session so you get a more better picture of what is serverless computing. Okay, so they have 81 availability zones within 25 geographic regions. So these geographic regions are actually the isolated places. Like if there is a region in India, then there is another region in Africa, then there is another region in US, yeah, and then there is another regions in Europe. So it is like all over the world they have different regions. Then each region has their small data centers. Like if in India they have they have a region in Mumbai. So in Mumbai there will be various other availability zones that are that will have the replicated data centers. So if one of the part of Mumbai face let's say a natural calamity, then there is another part of Mumbai will have that data centers backed up. So you will have your website and application up and running. So the fail tolerance is the good feature that is available with the AWS. So you don't have to actually worry about whether your application will be backed up or the overall downtime is very less. So as I mentioned earlier, they have multiple data centers. They are constantly evolving. So most the recent features are the Lambda and the SageMaker. So traditionally, if you look at API development, and it's like a tedious job, and you need so much time to work with creating that API, then deploy that API, then make that API available for end level where user will use it. So Lambda provides you a feature where you can just focus on the code, the business logic, what that API need to do, and how you can process the input for that API. Then there is a SageMaker, which is used, as I mentioned earlier, for machine learning and the virtual reality or IoT. All those things you can define the chain of commands in SageMaker. Again, a good feature with AWS is they have the cost efficient way of dealing with things, that is pay as you go approach. That means unless you use a service for that many number of hours, or you get a free trial account wherein if you want to test any service, then up till certain number of hours you are not being charged, you can use that service. Also, once you complete the free trial, you have the advantage that as long as you use their service, you will be charged. But if you stop their service, then you won't be charged for the additional hours. But in the traditional hosting, you need to pay for entire month, irrespective of whether you use that service or not. So this is a very good option available in AWS. So now, in case if you are wondering, now we are going through this session, okay, and I am giving the overview. But how many companies or how many sectors do the AWS services are widely used? So these are only some of the companies that I can list here, but there are far more companies which are actively using the AWS for various reasons. So if you look at different customer base here, so from Netflix, that is, I believe most of you people are using it. So this is a video streaming platform. So AWS is also used to stream the videos, or that continuity, what you see, the low bandwidth and better performance, all those things for media files are available in AWS. Also, if you look at other companies like Unilever or Adobe, so when they work with Pfizer, they work with medicinal and all those pharmaceutical related companies, they make use of AWS for processing the samples that of different diseases, or you know the new vaccines that uh, come to analyze those vaccines. So all those patterns and everything for that AWS machine learning that services use. Then if you look at the sports, the leaderboard, what you see, that is being calculated using AWS service. That too the real time. That means if there is a constant updation of the score, then it is constantly being tracked by AWS service, and it makes it available for you at the end user level. Then there is the New York Times, leading news platform. So they are using their AWS for customer base to understand what customer prefers, what sort of knowledge or what they are checking. So AWS is used all over the world for different reasons by different customers depending upon their choice. So tomorrow, if you work with AWS, then there is a higher chances that you may be hired by one of these top and leading companies. So this is another good aspect that you can look at it uh, while working with AWS. I guess this is it, all that I had to cover. Thank you. Now, in case if you have any questions, and if you are hesitant to put those questions, then you all can reach out to us on LinkedIn, or maybe we can provide you with the feedback form, and you can share your questions, or if you need any technical help at any point, you can reach out to us. So um, yeah, I think this is it. Thank you all for joining.